At the height of the national outrage, Governor Doug Ducey promised to listen and learn about systemic racism. He sat down with faith leaders in the black community. But in the 3 months since, some leaders say they haven't heard from the governor directly to keep that conversation going. ABC 15's Nicole Grigg outside the state capitol explaining the lack of real progress or change in our state.
The concern to some is if race relations is a priority to Governor Doug Ducey. Several leaders telling me it's been silence since they sat down with the governor back in May on race issues.
It wasn't my first meeting. It won't be my last. I think we spent about 90 minutes together.
That was Governor Doug Ducey on June 4th saying this won't be his last meeting with faith leaders in the African American community. More than 3 months later, silence.
I'm not impressed anymore by words.
Pastor Warren Stewart Jr. says his father led that meeting with Governor Doug Ducey, and his dad, also a community faith leader, hasn't heard from him either. Nor has Bishop Jennifer Riddell and Pastor Redeem Robinson.
I didn't expect anything to come after that meeting, but mostly lip service. And so if he wanted to really be true to what he said, then he would have followed up.
The streets are now quieter from protests, but the calls for change are still there and to address systemic racism.
Racism is the power to inflict policy to keep people oppressed or don't give people justice. And as the governor of the state of Arizona, he can do that. He has my personal phone number. He can call me if he wants to move on something.
Some Democratic state lawmakers have called for a special session to address police reform and racial justice. No movement on that either.
The governor has been leading on the community for literally months, promising to do something on police reform. Promising to, build bridges, but we haven't seen anything. And that's more of the same with Governor Ducey. He'll talk a good game in front of the camera, but when it comes to actual policy, we have not seen it.
One other leader who was in that room back in May, Reverend Jarrett Maupin, telling us, although the governor hasn't had another sit-down meeting, his staff is accessible and that he's had discussions on affordable housing, education, and COVID-19 resources.
That's all been a result of them responding to incidences of where we've reached out and demanded a response.
Stewart Jr. tells me it's not about talking anymore, it's about action.
Come out to a protest. Say that you believe Black Lives Matter. Say that you believe that in enforcing policies that protect us, not like the officers who get away with killing Deon Johnson.
The governor's office telling me that the governor has met with other members in the African American community since May. They even provided examples of 2 meetings back in June. A spokesperson contends that the dialogue has continued and is ongoing, and more meetings can and likely will happen if there's more updates. Reporting in Phoenix, Nicole Grigg, ABC 15, Arizona.